Good evening and welcome to The Core, coming to you live from Channels Television Studios in Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Kadria Ahmed. Biara is a village of about 3,000 people in Gokana local government in Rivers State. Every morning, the residents of this village wake up to black choking soot, which clogs up their chests and mouths. When they brush their teeth, they spit out black saliva. The rains, when they fall, are also black, as are their clothes when they hang them up to dry after washing. From Biara, one can easily spy Eleme, the town of perpetual lights, as the locals call it. Those lights are the result of ongoing gas flaring, which leaves poisonous chemicals in the atmosphere. The tale of these two places is also the tale of many towns and villages in the Niger Delta, a region which has been scarred by oil exploration. It is true that a handful of people and companies have become stupendously wealthy from oil, but a substantial number of the people of this region live in poverty. Across the wider Nigerian community, evidence abounds that Nigeria has failed to manage her oil assets in a manner that will benefit the country and her citizens. Hope, however, seems to be on the horizon as Nigeria has inched closer to establishing a new law which could transform the sector for the benefit of all. On The Core today, we examine what it would mean for Nigeria if the President signs the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, the PIGB, into law, and the Parliament fast-tracks the passage of the three other bills that make up the totality of the new petroleum law.
Nigeria is one of the most petroleum-rich nations in the world. It is the largest oil-producing nation in Africa, with one of the largest proven reserves on the continent. But the Nigerian oil and gas industry has been described as an example of how not to run an oil sector. Although it accounts for more than 70% of government revenue, the sector has suffered from erratic regulation, mismanagement, scandals, and gross inefficiency. A situation former President Umaru Yar'Adua sought to address by introducing the Petroleum Industry Bill to the National Assembly in 2008 as an executive bill. The bill was to, among other things, increase domestic crude oil production, deregulate the downstream sector, harmonize regulatory framework through the establishment of an efficient commission, restructure the NNPC into a viable and profitable commercial entity, enhance transparency and accountability in the sector. However, the 6th National Assembly failed to pass the bill. In 2012, former President Goodluck Jonathan reintroduced the Petroleum Industry Bill in the 7th Assembly, where it also suffered a similar fate. Federal lawmakers had some major issues with the PIB, namely the excessive powers of the Minister of Petroleum, the 10% remittance for a petroleum host community fund. To worsen the situation, lawmakers were divided along regional lines. On one side, southern senators supported the host community fund, and on the other side, their colleagues from the north were vehemently opposed to the fund. These disagreements made the Petroleum Industry Bill one of the most controversial and fiercely debated bills in the history of the Nigerian Parliament. With the coming of the 8th Senate, and in the bid to walk round some of these contentious issues, the Petroleum Industry Bill was divided into parts, which lawmakers say will make for an easier passage and allow them better handle the disagreements which sprang up in the 7th Assembly. They are the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, the Host Community Bill, Petroleum Industry Fiscal Bill, and the Petroleum Industry Administration Bill. But the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill being one of the least contentious, both arms of the National Assembly commenced work on it. The key components of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill are restructuring the NNPC by splitting the assets and liabilities of the NNPC into two new commercial entities, namely the National Petroleum Company and the Nigerian Petroleum Asset Management Company. 3 years into the 4-year tenure, lawmakers in the National Assembly have finally completed the work on the bill with its harmonization and passage.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
It is a development that appears to signal progress for the sector.
One of the challenges has always been the fact that is to be able to get consensus on an issue as important as this, and I'd also lay the foundation for the other bills that are coming. And I think we have again shown to not only investors in the country and outside the country that this National Assembly is very responsible in its area to do with laws in regards to the petroleum sector.
The next step is for the President to assent to the bill and sign it into law.
We hope that Mr. President is going to assent to the bill as quickly as possible for the Nigerian oil and gas economy to hit the road.
For players in the sector, the days ahead are expected to provide answers to some questions. What transitional arrangements are being contemplated and within what timelines? What can be done to ensure that the new institutions created by the bill do not end up as replicas of the existing ones? Is it possible to have the remaining bills passed before the 8th Assembly completes its tenure? The answers to these questions will also determine the future of the Nigeria petroleum industry and benefit the majority of Nigerians rather than a few.